Hey everybody and welcome back. For those of you just turning in, this is Tattoo Collectables and I'm your host Eric. So today on the show we've got a couple of things we're going to go over. We've got some mail that came, really excited about what's in it. And then we are going to start a new segment today, the famous ladies of tattooing. So stick around and check that out. But now, here's what's in the mail.
What's in the mail?
All right, so first package we got this week is coming from Plano, Texas. Just plain old, just nothing fancy. So this I've been waiting to open. Man, they got this package is in there. Oh, this I've been waiting to open this for a week or so, and I've been kind of, you know how I am, fighting at the bit to get into this thing. There is a envelope, please, and nothing else in there. So this, I saw this on eBay and I thought, man, that is so cool. So these are two photographs. Now, one of them is dated October 1965, and that is of Elizabeth Weinzierl. And on the back it just says Joe. So I'm not sure who the other two people in the picture are. It looks like it's from the party room pictures. And we'll go over that a little later. She, not to give too much away, but old Elizabeth Weinzierl is going to be our first famous lady in tattooing. And then these two gentlemen, I'm not sure who they are, but the back is marked C605. Now somebody, and it's not done in pencil, it's actually done in grease pencil. Somebody was touting this as a Cobble photo. So whenever I get a Cobble photo, I pull out from the book mistress my Cobble reference guide, and if it's, let's say it should have been T605 and not C605. But I don't think it's a T605 either, honestly. T605. Yogi Ankara does a different contortion and his tattooed abdomen shows up well. Not large, but good tattoo. Yeah, this definitely isn't. It isn't that Cobble anyway, but it is still a very nice photo. It's an older photo. You can tell by the look of it. And by the smell of it, it's definitely an older photo. But I'm not sure who these gentlemen are. I am going to go to, there are two sites now on Facebook that I like to use. One of them is the Elders of Ink. If you've been tattooing over 20 years, you can go there and join. Those guys have a ton of knowledge as far as who people were in old pictures. Or the Tattoo Historical Society is another one. Great, just put your picture up and be like, who is this? And somebody on there will be like, oh, I used to work with him or whatever. But those are both great references for what is what and who is who. Now this next piece comes from Missoula, Montana. Now I've been getting a bunch of stuff from Missoula, and I've been really happy with it. The guy out there, he's obviously been tattooing for quite a while and has quite a collection. But now he's starting to get rid of them. A lot of people are. A lot of people are moving away from their collections because, you know, they've had them 30, 40, 50 years, and now they're wanting to sit on a beach somewhere, which I cannot blame them after 40 or 50 years of tattooing. So this is, now I saw one of these the other day on Instagram on RCA Collectables, another great site for grabbing stuff. If you haven't seen RCA Collectables, go check it out. If you're into collecting tattoo stuff, if you're not, I don't know why you're watching this show, honestly. But he had one of these up the other day for $135, and it sold almost immediately. Now, this is a Tuttle card. It's one of the foldable cards. It's got a little story on the back. It's got the Tuttle signature on the front. And then inside, there was a bevy of different pictures. I think he made like 10 or 15 different ones of these. I had never seen this one. I thought this one was neat. It's got Erno in it. And as an added bonus for this one, it had an Erno card in it too from Lyle Tuttle's shop. And that's from 37th Street. So that's an old one. That's before he moved to Columbus Street. This is when he was up above the bus station. So that's a really neat old card. Like I said, I've never seen an Erno card. So I got that one too. Both of them, I got both of them on eBay for right around $100. This one just sold for $135 on RCA Collectables. So the collectability of these are going way up now that we have lost Tuttle. I was getting these back in the day for 15, 20, 30 bucks a piece. Now you can't touch one for under $100. We even saw these out at the Lyle Tuttle 70th. He had a bunch of he didn't have one of these, but he had a bunch of cards. A lot of them were signed. Personally, I don't care who signed it. I think that anytime a signature goes onto something, it drops the value. Just like in any other collectible. Baseball cards, you get a signature on it, to some collectors, it will drop the price. Purists, they want stuff mint condition, and if somebody has signed it, it is no longer mint condition. So I prefer to have my non-signed. I've got one that is signed, but I had him sign it on the reverse where somebody had glued it to something and then it kind of messed up the back. So I had him sign that. I love getting these. Every time I see a Tattoo Collectable, you know me, I gotta get it. So that is definitely a great addition to the collection. I'll be putting up better pictures of those here in just a second. Now, we here at Tattoo Collectables, we've been trying out some different segments. Some of them y'all have liked, some of them unfortunately y'all haven't liked. So this new one we're getting ready to start is the famous ladies of tattooing. Now, if you think that it's hard to track down the history of the men who did this in the past, try looking up the women who did this in the past. There's so little written on them because a lot of the guys that were writing the history just did not, I don't know, for one reason or another, just didn't, kind of skipped over the female side of this. And they've done just as much for tattooing as men has, if not more, actually. So we're going to start this segment right now and kick it off with Elizabeth Wines-Earl, the tattoo grandma, or as a lot of people called her, the #1 tattoo fan in the world. So here we go. As sideshows were dying out, tattooed women found alternative routes to the public eye. In 1958, Elizabeth Wines-Earl, a doctor's wife from Portland, appeared on Jack Linkletter's variety show, On the Go, to display her growing skin art collection. She posed for her husband in the party room pictures the couple staged in their basement, some of which ended up in the Coble archive. They became a regular at tattoo conventions after their inception in the 1970s, and by the time she died in 1992, was a living legend in the tattoo community. Even before she was tattooed, Wines-Earl was no stranger to publicity. She made her first news in 1918 when she, her single mother, and a female cousin took a road trip from Seattle to Brooklyn, astonishing Middle America with their dauntlessness and their men's trousers. In newspaper accounts of the junket, made before highways connected Chicago to Seattle, these bloomer-clad girls described running for cover in farmyards during thunderstorms and sitting out desert sandstorms in tents they pitched by the side of the road. We found that when we entered civilization, we were treated like the circus, Wines-Earl's mother told Salt Lake City Tribune. She described one gawker who was so shocked at the sight of women in pants that he ran from his old gray mare halfway up the telegraph pole looking after us. Wines-Earl married in the 20s, moved to Portland with her family in the 30s, and got her first tattoo in 1947, after her husband, who had seen tattooed women in medical journals, suggested it. He really wanted a tattooed wife, she was quoted as saying in the International Tattoo Art, and I wasn't leaving home. Weinzierl got her early work from a variety of artists, but found her private Rembrandt in Bert Grimm, an established artist she and her husband Adolf discovered while attending a medical convention in St. Louis. Grimm became her exclusive tattooist. Among other old-fashioned imagery, linked by sprinkles of stars, he gave her spider webs on her stomach, butterflies on her back and buttocks, and even her favorite tattoos, the birds on her upper arms, inspired by a Cindy Ray design. When her husband balked at her decision to get tattooed in such a prominent place, she insisted she would simply cover up when necessary. But half of the fun of tattoos, especially when she was great-great-grandmother in her 90s, came from springing them on people. She really liked being the center of attention, says tattooist Mary Jane Hockey, who was a close friend of Weinzierl's. If that meant pulling up her skirt in a restaurant, that was okay with her. None of Weinzierl's 3 daughters or myriad of grandchildren is tattooed, and Hockey's 1989 documentary video about her, world's #1 tattoo fan, contained strained moments in which her children's contempt for her hobby simmers beneath the surface civility of their interviews. When Adolf Weinzierl died in 1967, Elizabeth quit her hobby, but continued her passionate correspondence with the large circle of tattooed pen pals she'd established. In the pre-convention days of the early 60s and 70s, tattooists tended to be prolific letter writers, and some credit Weinzierl with bringing the community together through the mail. That story came from The Bodies of Subversion from Margot Milflin. Now, that book is still available through, where did I get that book? I think I got that book through National. It's either through National or through Huck Spalding. One of them will have it. Definitely buy this book. Definitely check it out. It's got a rich history of the women of tattooing. Another thing that I found out that I didn't know previously about Elizabeth, she was also tattooed by Don Nolan back in 1981, which I thought was pretty cool. That concludes our new segment about famous tattooed women. There'll be more to come, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. I know I did. I learned a bunch. Elizabeth Weinzierl, I talked to Mary Jane Hockey about her when I was down at the Tattoo Historical Society. And she said that she was a bit of an exhibitionist as well. Her mother, Mary Jane's mother, was at this exhibition. And she sees Elizabeth and thinks, oh, well, there's a sweet old grandma here. These people must be okay. And then Elizabeth proceeded to take her into the bathroom and completely strip and show her that the collection that the old grandma had. And Mary Jane said her mother was quite surprised by this. So that I thought that was pretty interesting, kind of eye-opening about that. And there'll be much more coming as far as the famous women of tattooing. There have been a ton of them. And we've done a couple on the show already. We've done Pat Fish. And, well, I guess we just did Pat Fish. So, but we're going to do a bunch more of them as we go. So, hopefully you enjoyed today. Now, I mentioned on our Facebook that I've got some Procreate brushes. Now, if you don't know, if you're in the industry and you're using Procreate, you know what I'm talking about. The brush packs you see now, a lot of guys are doing them, and they're $20, $30, $40 a piece. You get 10 or 15, sometimes as much as 50 pictures. As far as these brushes go, they're Instaflash is what they are. They're what we used to call in the day an outline sheet. I have made a ton of these brushes. Anybody that wants them, DM me. I'll send them to you for nothing. I've got banners, I've got horses, I've got a ton of different stuff, but I'll send them all to you for nothing. And later on in the summer, I'm going to be doing a convention coming up. I will be giving away. I'll be giving them away there too. So, but if you want them, DM me and I'll shoot you out. I'll shoot you out an email with them in it. They're pretty handy. I've got a bunch of silhouettes and stuff like that too. So, if you need them, let me know. Hit me up. I'll send them to you for nothing. So, that's what we've got today on the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it brought you a little knowledge that you didn't have. And until next week, here's what I want you to do. I want you to all be safe out there. Keep on collecting. Hey everybody, thanks for watching, and please hit the subscribe button down below and check out these videos. We've worked real hard on these too, and I think if you enjoyed this one, you'll enjoy those too.